Staking for passive income was the best thing to ever happen to crypto.
All these crypto staking websites are promising that you can become a millionaire, even billionaire.
I'm sitting in this bed and I just became a millionaire.
Until it became the worst.
This is crazy. Everything is crashing.
Do you regret holding so long?
You know, I'm human. Yeah, I should have sold some.
First, you made bank without even getting out of bed. More and more opportunities began to pop up, yields grew, it felt like endless money. Sure, there were warnings, but you just shrugged them off. You were fine. I mean, you weren't doing anything crazy like chasing 100,000% APY until the warning showed up in your backyard. Those dreams of 10, 20, or even 30% APY are now looking kind of foolish. You know, a lot of things are great in theory, but not so much in real life. Google Glass, Crystal Pepsi, that weird movie about cats. Maybe that one wasn't ever a good idea, but here's my question. Is the idea of earning passive income from crypto just impractical, like good in theory, but a dumpster fire in the real world? Or is there still a safe way of doing this that you need to know about? Can you still earn $50 a day? In order to understand, we need to go back to medieval Europe where staking began. I'm kidding, that'd be a Vsauce level tangent. But for crypto staking, we need to jump to 2012. Real staking can only happen on proof of stake networks. POS started as a way to gain consensus while cutting down on energy consumption. Instead of miners with red hot PCs, stakers lock up funds and use algorithms to validate transactions on a given blockchain. This solved some problems, but brought about others. So proof of stake wasn't perfect, but we accepted it, and a lot of networks started using it. But wait, you need to know how staking actually places new coins in your wallet in order to understand all of this. When you stake, you're providing security services for a blockchain. You're basically like a blockchain-based mall cop. A blockchain will thank you for your service by sending newly minted coins to your wallet. These coins either come from locked up supply or transaction fees. More specifically, you lock up your coins with a validator. These validators carry out the vital role of keeping the network secure and trustworthy, and that's it. You're done. You're earning passive income. People were skeptical about early staking projects like Purecoin and Blackcoin. It just seemed too good to be true. Like, I'm getting money for nothing, but the returns were modest, reasonable, and the risks were pretty easy to understand. The biggest danger you needed to look out for was volatility, because by staking a coin, you're still subject to the value going down, and if its value plummets, your rewards do too. Let's imagine you have 100 tokens of my made-up currency called the doohickey coin. Every doohickey is worth $1, so you've got $100 in your wallet. You get 5% interest if you stake your I'm just gonna call it DHs for now. You stake them for a year, you get 5%. So after a year, you've got 105 of those precious DHs. Does that mean your $100 is guaranteed to rise to 105 after a year? Not quite. If things went to plan with the project, the price might have risen. But if the currency dropped, your income scheme falls apart. Even the highest yields can be wiped away. Because of this risk, it's generally best to only stake coins that you plan to hold long-term anyways. So let's go back a bit. In the beginning, staking made sense. The returns were decent and the risks were understandable. So how did we go from there to the current... Like a trophy slasher film, things started out well. Crypto staking was the new boom, the new oil rush, the new gold rush. Oh, how we laughed at those poor fools left outside. At some point, rates went up and up, 10%, 20%, up to 30%. Did anyone care how and why the returns kept on climbing? Not really. We just kept cashing in, like this staker who turned cute beans into $10,000, or this guy who earned $2,000 a month, or the VC firm with 100x profit on Luna. Eventually, the thing went mainstream. Everybody wanted passive income. Then the bloodbath began. The super risky stuff went first. That's the girl we're all screaming, don't go in there to. But everyone else began slowly getting picked off too. Finally, we're left with the survivors, the coins that started this all. Modest returns, modest risk. What the f happened? It has to do with hype and marketing. Crypto is a hype machine. The wildest, craziest ideas get the most attention. 5% yields are only exciting until 10% comes along, then 20%, then 100%. And the hype train just moves from project to project, whoever is offering the highest return and the most excitement. But for every bit of increased yield, more magic had to happen behind the scenes to get the thing to work, making these things more and more complex, yet they were being marketed as simple. Staking was getting easier and easier, or so they told us. But the returns were also growing. Isn't that like perfect, like too good to be true. Remember that simple staking process for validating transactions? I'm gonna call that classic staking from now on. We can easily understand those, but these new passive income ideas came along and they weren't explained very well. A whole lot of nice words like easy, transparency, guarantee, and security, but these were the first to fall. We ended up with stories of people losing everything. I was personally hit hard by this. We just need a better way to determine risk for the future. Let's put passive income ideas into two categories. I know there are others, but these are the two most common. First is the classic staking and lending model, where returns of 3, 4, 5, 6% are normal. Second is high yield staking and lending. This is where returns and risks increase dramatically. The world of crypto has clearly gotten riskier, almost by stealth. The lines between staking and lending were getting blurred, and I'm not sure everyone really understood the differences. Let's look at Celsius. They ran out of money because they offered huge rates. It wasn't classic staking, but their site mentioned staking. It's kind of confusing. Then others like USDD and Luna use algorithmic stablecoins. Not classic staking, but all involving some element of staking. These are complex projects with a lot of moving parts, but they got pushed onto investors like they were just simple, old-timey staking projects making a return with little risk. The riskier models weren't fully explained. It's like they were taking advantage of little old ladies and their hard-earned pensions. Do you know what we need now? A checklist. The simpler, the better. So let's start at the beginning. How can you tell the difference between these two? Well, classic staking means you lend a certain token to the network and get back a return on that very same token. Do it directly on the network or through an exchange. Get maybe 3 to 5% APY, a bit more, a bit less. So like $1,000 turns into maybe $1,030 or $1,050 in a year. Better than a bank? Maybe, just don't forget about the volatility. Classic lending is just simple market rates, lending directly to a peer who pays you the interest in return. Advanced lending and staking can sound very similar. However, their processes are usually more complex. Institutional investors, middlemen, swaps, and DeFi, the real dangers might not be obvious at first sight, but it's not uncommon for the returns here to be 30% or more. Tempting, but worth the risk? Your money can be locked up, as there's barely any regulations governing these projects. Now, this isn't a shot against Celsius because for every high yield they offered, they had 10 regular yield products. Their business model just simply wasn't sustainable, and that's something that will be figured out with time. Let's navigate through our options with a flow chart. If it's a simple staking project, you need to know the coin itself has long-term value. Now, is the return realistic? Are you happy tying up your money for the stated period? This varies from coin to coin. Some coins like my Cardano stake pool have no lockup period. Others can be for months. This will help you make a safe decision. Right, so now let's look at lending. First, do you understand how the whole thing works? Because usually it's not quite so simple. Next, what are the returns like? Personally, I think it has to be more than what you would get with classic staking to be worth the extra risk, but not so much that it looks unsustainable. You also need to be able to see where the extra money is actually coming from. So are you happy with the APY? And finally, the last one, and it's a biggie, are you comfortable with the overall project? Look out for things like the use of algorithmic stablecoins, involvement with risky assets, or individuals that you've identified as being a bit dodgy maybe. And one more thing. Do the research. Check out threads on Reddit, look on Twitter and YouTube, see what's going on with this project. That won't give you a guarantee, but it will help you identify any red flags and hear what other investors have experience with these projects or platforms. Right now, my favorite spot for crypto lending is on KuCoin. I've been lending stablecoins there for about a year now and made just over $25,000 doing it. Now, it isn't perfect though, but the reason I like it is its market rates. You only make what someone else is willing to pay you. The exchange isn't artificially boosting the return. They just take their cut to facilitate the deal and help pay for insurance. The downside is that rates can change a lot. When the market is down, you might be getting 1%, but I've seen as high as 50% for brief periods. The average over the last year for me has been about 10% APY. I'll have them linked in the description if you want to try them out. Now, is crypto staking going to be around in 5 or 10 years' time? Yes. Will crypto lending stick around? I can't be sure. There's a lot of gray area when it comes to the laws around crypto lending, and we just don't know if it'll last forever. Until we know, though, I'm happy to say that there are still good options out there. So passive income in crypto is absolutely possible. However, it should be looked at as a supplement to an overall strategy. Safe passive income probably isn't going to end with you cashing out to buy some gold bathtubs and dinosaur skulls, but it can help you get just a little bit closer to financial freedom.